All right, tonight, yes, we're talking the after effects of the blizzard of 2015. For some, not as much as they thought. From some others, just talk about those poor folks in Suffolk County here. It has been more than a headache. This evening, parts of New England bearing the brunt of the storm. We were going to keep you up to date on all the latest here and also what the rest of the week's going to look like as well. And we will head to Albany, where Democrats, they're looking to replace Assembly Speaker Shelley Silver. That, of course, following his arrest on federal corruption charges. Is this the best move for New York? We'll discuss. Plus, the Koch brothers, they are diving into the race for the White House, and they're bringing big bucks. I'm talking nearly $1 billion to the table. The conservative billionaires releasing nearly, as I said, $900 million to spend on the 2016 election. But the question is, what will they want to get for their money? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you so much for joining us. And tonight, we're going to start with the storm, which, for the most part, is out of our region, and for the most part, wasn't as bad as many of us thought. Travel bans, they've been lifted in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. However, authorities say the drivers ought to use still extreme caution when out on the roads due not just to the snow, but now to the ice. And the National Weather Service says that eastern Long Island continued to experience blizzard conditions throughout the day here. And a blizzard warning was just lifted in Suffolk County literally at 6 p.m. tonight. Meteorologist Jamie Boo, she joins us now with a look at the current weather situation and more. And first off, where are we now? The worst is out. New England, when it's all said and done, in Suffolk, they got the worst of it, right?
They did. For our area, Suffolk County, east end of the island there, 2 feet, and they're still dealing with some lingering snow bands. So we're going to be adding a few more accumulations on top of the highest amounts far in toward the Twin Forks. But this is the overall map. This is what we received. Eastern Nassau County, throughout Suffolk County, 1 to 2 feet of snow. You had just westward, western Nassau County into coastal Westchester County, coastal Fairfield County, Connecticut, and then eastern New Jersey along the Jersey Shore, a half a foot to up to a foot. So it was just a little bit westward that the snow totals start to fall off, and then obviously Jersey received some areas 1-2 inches the more west you were, as well as into the Hudson Valley, but some areas did see up to 6 inches. So it was an extreme more eastern storm, and it all depends on the track. We had everything we needed. We had that cold air in place, a high pressure off to our north. We had this storm intensifying rapidly as it passed to our south and east. On track 1, we've got more of a widespread snow westward throughout the entire region, but the storm decided to take a track 2 that delivered less snow for New Jersey and less winds. There were some areas along Long Island that did see 40 to 60 mile per hour winds. And then storm now moving off to the north and east and continuing to impact New England.
And of course, I got our good friends here, Dominic Carter and Andrew Whitman. And listen, I know you guys, the meteorologists, wince whenever you hear Snowmageddon and all the rest here. But we thought this thing was going to be worse than it turned out, right?
Absolutely, yes, for the entire region. So Suffolk County bearing the brunt of it, but if the storm would have just been a little more westward, we would have seen...
Not that you were rooting for that, right? Yeah.
We would have seen that higher amount, just more westward, and then we would have gotten in those higher bands, and the wind as well. So, I mean, it is better safe than sorry, and be prepared for some high snow totals. But Jersey was spared.
We were talking last night and comparing this storm to a hurricane. It was sort of centered, had a little bit of an eye. Are winter storms harder to track and forecast than hurricanes are?
You know, as we get some winter storms, the cold air in place, there's all that big player of where the warm air is going to set up. If you have that snow rain line and that track, we can have winter storms that are a little more concentrated with their precipitation and where they have and that deliver those higher bands of snow. So that does make a bigger difference. And where hurricanes, we can track days out with the models, where sometimes we get these winter storms that bomb out pretty quickly.
And as Jimmy mentioned here, and you've seen from the video that Suffolk County by far it got hit hardest by the storm. And reporter Kevin Vesey joins us live now from Ronkonkoma in Suffolk with more on that. Kevin?
Well, Richard, Suffolk County really did get walloped by this storm, including here in Lake Ronkonkoma. I want to show you the snow that fell last night and into this morning. We have a yardstick here. We're just going to plop it in. Take a look. That's a clean patch of snow. 22 inches, so almost 2 feet of snow here in Lake Ronkonkoma. That's what people have been shoveling and snow blowing off their driveways. Residents all over Lake Ronkonkoma spent the afternoon digging out after the blizzard of 2015 blanketed the area with close to 2 feet of snow.
It's a little bigger than I thought it would be.
Probably the worst we've had in a long, long time.
For David Hoffman, that not only meant snow blowing his driveway, but clearing a path for his neighbor who couldn't do it on her own.
She's older, lives alone, so why not?
Meanwhile, brother and sister duo, Cash and Kyla, were digging out the old-fashioned way, one shovelful at a time.
It gets heavy after a while.
Yeah.
So I usually cut like halfway and then go over the driveway again.
It's hard work.
Because Suffolk County bore the brunt of the blizzard, Governor Cuomo announced that equipment and workers from all over the state would be heading to eastern Long Island, including some from as far away as Buffalo.
You have plow operators who are driving 8-10 hours just to get here to be helpful. They don't have to. You can't pay them enough to do it, but they know that Suffolk County needs help, and they want you to know that they're on their way, just the way Suffolk has been there for them many times before.
And you can see behind me that a lot of the side streets here are covered in snow but passable. But the main roads, on the other hand, well, they're down to asphalt at this point. We're in Lake Ronkonkoma. Kevin Vesey, FiOS 1 News. Richard.
Very good. Thank you, Kevin. And speaking of transportation, MTA says that subway, bus, and rail service has resumed, albeit gradually. Amtrak says that limited service between New York City and Albany is up and running, and the rail is running on a reduced schedule between New York and D.C., but still remains suspended between New York and Boston. And just before I let you go, Jamie, we'll get into a little bit later in the program what the rest of the week looks like. But from a season standpoint, we've been doing pretty good so far, if you don't like the snow, right?
Yeah.
But does it look that way for the balance of January, February?
No, we actually are getting into a pattern now that as we go throughout the next few days, we're going to get these clippers coming through. We've got the cold air in place. We were cold earlier in the season, so we just weren't getting the storm. So no snow, but we had the cold. Now we have the cold air in place. We're getting to a pattern where we're going to keep getting these storms coming in and perhaps delivering us more wintry weather. That's probably not what you wanted to hear.
Not the answer
That's
we were looking for.
This
no.
is just the kind of weather that Dominic's all about here. Jamie, thank you so much. All right, when we come back here, there was a political issue when it comes to weather, believe it or not. Both Governor Cuomo, but also New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, taking some heat here for allegedly overreacting to yet another storm. I bet you he was cursing the meteorologist. Did he and other officials overreact, or were they just trying to make sure, even if they went overboard, that they kept folks safe? We'll have a look at that conversation when we come back.